And it's getting serious here at Code S with Maru against GuMiho. To the top right, we have in the red our FXO player.
FXO GuMiho.
In this Terran versus Terran, Maru was able to force a third map. He was down one game after the match on Antigua. And now we have map number 3. We have Daybreak. The prime player starting to the bottom left. It is
Maru Prime.
Played a very strategic game on Entombed Valley. Did very well against his opponent. It's going to be so interesting to see who comes out ahead here. Very, very close matches so far.
Now, something to consider is when you have a tank versus tank battle. We were talking about this a little bit in these games where Maru got something very unique with his armor upgrade. In a tank versus tank battle, I believe it takes one less shot if you have +1 on your opponent's tank. So if your opponent has 1 upgrade and you have 1/1, then your opponent has to take 1 more shot per tank to kill that. So that's something to consider. Something else to consider was his Hellions were just so beefy in all stages of the game. That was something that allowed him to bully his opponent in the middle stages. So it looks like what Maru is doing is something that he finds to be unique and good. Something that no one else is really doing right now is the fast, super fast +1 armor and double upgrades, and that's something that I wonder if will become more common, because if you delay your third base, you don't necessarily have enough gas to do that, but if you just play safely and don't lose a whole lot, it seems like the upgrades eventually allow you to bully your opponent, so that's kind of cool. That's one innovative thing that I've seen in this play so far that I really like. And both players, again, one rack's expanding. Maru doing the earlier scout here will scout his opponent, and as far as I know, we've seen no scout from GuMiho.
We've seen one scout by GuMiho just checking. I knew that he sent an SCV down there in order to have a quick look at the third base if there's any hidden barracks, and I really love it, because I actually thought before the game started that this might be a map where Maru might try to go for the Marauder proxy barracks that you mentioned before we started the best of 3, and this is apparently something that GuMiho expected as well, or at least thought it could be something like it. So let's just better scout it a little bit to the bottom right where we usually see those proxy barracks. He didn't scout anything and used the SCV to start his expansion.
Oh, and Maru's not actually paying enough attention to deny this scout, so he will be able to see the command center. Oh! He didn't see the command center, but he saw the bunker, and so he knows. GuMiho adding 2 barracks here, and only taking 1 gas, whereas his opponent has, of course, just done the exact same build in 3 games. Maru looking to be teching up again. I wonder if we'll see the same double armory build.
So far he has been relying on exactly the same build, so he seems to be really, really confident when he comes down to the Terran versus Terran with the build that he uses. But GuMiho is mixing it up here a bit.
Yeah, he really is. I like the mixing up style. It really shows. I mean, the difference in these styles shows 2 different things. For example, Maru shows that he thinks his build is so good that it can be used in almost any situation. And what GuMiho has shown is that he knows a lot of different builds. So, you know, both are good. This pressure here by GuMiho is completely shut down by the bunker. It was kind of weird they decided to go for it after scouting the bunker in the first place, but could have potentially gotten lucky and gotten some additional scouting from that.
Starport is now being built in the main base. We have the reactor. Could well be. Is he going for no Hellions so far? He could have just tried to get some Hellions into the mix as well. Attack with a Medivac as soon as he got one.
It looks like he may try to do a build that we see oftentimes in TVP, where you go for Marine Tank, Banshee, timing attack. This does happen sometimes with Vikings more so than Banshees, with just 1 Banshee in this matchup. His opponent is getting stim now. He may also be going for Cloak. He's already gotten the double gases. His gas is banking up a little bit here, so looks like we are going to see a change in the build for Maru just slightly, but he is getting another Tech Lab now, as you can see on the production tab, so I can only wonder what
gets the bench.
Fake Cloak getting the Caduceus reactor right now to trick his opponent if he scans, and there is a second Tech Lab there on the siege, on the on the factory to make siege tanks.
And I love these fake cloaks. I actually think we see it occasionally when a player forgets to cancel it and actually researches it.
That can come in handy sometimes, but not with a mech composition.
It can, but usually you are going to cancel it, so that's what we expect from him. But if GuMiho at this point scouts, he has to assume that there's some code going on.
He has not scanned, so he's not canceling it, and he will eventually cancel it, but it didn't become useful for him, so he's lost a lot of resources here. I mean, he's going to get all of them back, but he didn't have them as quickly as he wanted to. It was going to delay his second Banshee, for example, and there's the cancel. Probably go get a Raven. Yep, getting a Raven now just to be safe. And we may see that timing attack, but he's adding another factory, and I just don't think he's going to pressure with it anymore. He's not making any Marines off of the add-on either.
And GuMiho is getting 2 missile turrets already. He did not scout what was happening, but he kind of assumes that there's going to be some kind of Banshee play going on for Maru. So we have this investment into the missile turrets, and the Banshee won't be able to do too much damage, while GuMiho is now scouting the SCV at the third base, at the potential third base of his opponent.
Here comes that Banshee. Probably going to get about 5 kills. Some of them will be Marines. Does get forced out though. Actually looks like he's just going to target down SCV's not going to get.
I'm a bit surprised there's no missile turret. He built 2. Did he only build them at the expansion, or did he cancel them again?
You know, it's hard to say. I never saw exactly where they were. I figured they were in the mineral lines, but
yeah, me too.
They were not, I guess. So
might have just canceled them again.
Yeah, it's possible he did. And now up to 4 factories for Maru. He's doing a lot of damage with this Banshee. Even though Stim is done, he's being so cautious with it that it's been very effective. Medevac production will start here for GuMiho. He's going for that biocentric composition yet again. Taking a fast third, something he's consistently done all 3 games. He's been able to land and secure his third before his opponent. Maru, no double armories yet, not this game.
This Banshee is doing a ton of damage.
I know, I love this. He even forces a Stim here. Should be able to kill those Marines now if he wants to, but he's going to patiently back off.
This Banshee really paid off with 7 kills. It's not only about just killing a few units, but you just pose a constant threat to your opponent as long as he's not able to kill
everything. He knows the composition of his opponent now. He's like, you have Stim, I saw your 3 barracks, I saw your reactor and starport. Speaking of reactor and starport, he's got a second starport. We may see a very complex strategy here, which is usually done in the late game if you get behind, where you try to hide your air advantage and then go into battle cruisers or banshees, whichever is more appropriate at the time. He may try to get a super early lead. You can tell by how he's kind of putting his Vikings over here. He's killed the Banshee. He may decide to try to hide his Vikings. He's getting armor now for his bio. And what's he going to do with that starport? It's hard to say. I mean, I think he's probably just going to try to get an early air advantage, but it seems too soon to be doing that.
Already getting 3 Vikings at a time. But what really comes into play once again is that GuMiho, also in the third game, has this earlier third base. He already has the third base. He's pulled on a ton of mules, so he has the advantage in economy once again. And Maru needs to be careful, especially with those
nice
Hellions.
Targeting on the Marauders.
3 of them.
Targets the one that was about to escape, and then targets the next one, so they're both slowed, and then kills both of them. If he didn't do that, most of those Hellions would have escaped. Nice targeting there.
Very nice unit control here with his concussive shells Marauders.
GuMiho adding more barracks here, and is actually producing just Vikings and medevacs at the same time, so sparing no loss of production for either one of those things. He will have both air control and a good medevac count.
On 3 bases, I really like this double starport. It gives him not only the dominance in the air battle, but also the option to just switch to whatever he needs to. He can produce a lot more medivacs if he needs to, but as soon as he realizes that his opponent has the higher Viking count, he can just produce 4 Vikings at a time with all the resources that he has. And he's babysitting the drop once more.
Bodyguards on that drop. He's got the ability to drop a point defense on which he will. And the Hellions, though, are not going to be very effective against these Marauders, so it's going to be a decent trade nonetheless. But losing
the
these
Raven!
Vikings,
He's lost the Raven as well. The Raven is a little bit out of position, and the point defense zone can't assist. And we already have a very decent supply lead here for Maru, who still has no third base.
He has no third base, so even though he doesn't have that third base, he's going to take control of the center of the map. At least that's his plan here with these Vikings and Hellions.
Definitely has the bigger army at this point, but can he put it to good use? Can he put pressure onto the third of GuMiho? We'll see in a few minutes, as now Maru is moving out while GuMiho is even taking a 4th.
With the army that GuMiho has now, Maru, if he does this right, he can actually end the game. If he sieges up at the third base and then keeps the rest of his reinforcements at home to defend run-bys, he can actually win this game right now. He's actually going to engage this right now. This is really bad for GuMiho. He catches the tanks on siege, but then now that they're sieged, he's going to lose a lot of units.
He can't afford to attack here, and he does. He loses so much supply. Actually, he's at 100 against 114, but most of the army is already gone.
He lost his ability to do run-bys and things like that now. He actually no longer can do counterattacks, so even though that was a good trade for him in some ways, he can't counterattack now, and Maru knows that. He's actually sending all of his units. He's not going to chase those mules. This orbital will have to lift, and when it does, the Vikings will kill it.
Yes,
he loses the base no matter what.
He will lose the base, and here comes the orbital immediately. The Vikings take charge of the situation and take it down. Even the SCVs for the repair is too late, and the Vikings to defend it. At this point, Maru is looking so strong, and he is just getting a third base behind it. He's expanding once again to the left side. And wow, for GuMiho, this is going to get really ugly.
It was a bad choice to engage with that Bioforce because GuMiho had so many more options without doing that, without losing that army. He could have flanked and saved his command center. He could have gone for a huge counterattack and forced a base trade where he had somewhat of a defender's advantage. But instead, now his opponent is pushing through even further. He will lose these Vikings. He's forced to land them, but it may not be enough. I mean, he's going to lose so much here. He's losing everything. He may, in fact, just die. Counter, that's the only army he has right there. He's going to try to drop it.
He's trying to get into position. We have all these Vikings. Assault mode has started, and here come the Stiff Marauders trying to go in there and clear this force. Even the SCVs are pulled, but will it be enough? It doesn't look like it.
I don't think so, man. Blue Flame against those SCVs is not a good trade for GuMiho.
No, not at all. He's losing way too many workers here.
And Maru, our young Terran, looks like he will be going to the winner's match in Group D.
Wow, 100 supply against 55. The Hellions are taken down. Maru loses the rest of his forces, but at this point we only have 23 harvesters left for GuMiho against 52. We have 3 bases against 2 bases. This is brutal.
Yeah. 17 kills on that one siege tank that went down. He already has units at home to defend a counterattack. Even if GuMiho pulled all of his SCVs, which if I'm not mistaken he is right now, I can see something on the mini-map being pulled down there. And in fact, no, it's just some string of bio units. Even if he pulled all his SCVs though, he wouldn't be able to break this.
No, he won't. There are too many siege tanks. We have 5 siege tanks right now. The air battle is working in Maru's favor as there are only 2 Vikings left for GuMiho. And yes, he's taking down most of these units, but he has to be a little bit more careful. Now the reinforcements come in, but Maru is losing a lot here, caught out of position by his opponent.
Yeah, actually now he's in a position where he has to siege up his tanks, and he was a little bit caught in an awkward pants down position almost, but it's not worth it.
Trying to take down the Vikings before they kill the Medivac, but the Medivac dies in the end.
But with eliminating the Medivacs, he does eliminate the threat of multiple entry attacks. He can now only just worry about his front bases.
And Legend just points out that we don't have any attack upgrades or defense upgrades this time for Maru, so he does not go for the style that he used last time. He's just now at the 18-minute mark researching the +1 attack upgrade.
This is a really good engagement again for GuMiho. Yes. He's trying to turn things around here, but he just barely does not have enough. GG!
He realizes that he is too far behind in economy to actually catch up with his opponent in army size, and just look at Maru Prime here. He did it. He advances to our winners match later on.
Yeah, I cannot believe it myself that he was able to defeat GuMiho here. And I think even he was like, well, I thought maybe I had a chance, but I didn't think I'd be in the winner's match, but I am, and that's just awesome for him. Maru, a super young player, someone that after his games in the open season of GSL 1 where he took out, for example, Sella, if you guys remember, long ago, before Sella even had a team, he took him out there and lost to like Tank Boy or something in the next round, and he kind of disappeared for forever. Nobody really expected him to do well, and on the Korean server, a lot of people said, oh, this guy's really cheesy, he's kind of all in. But now he's in the winner's match of his first time in Codes, and he is looking stronger than ever.
Yeah, he is. He just played so well today, and it's just such a pleasure to be in Korea right now and to witness all these new players popping up, all these players that are able to take once again a Code A qualifier, suddenly in a position where they can show their skill. And I remember when I casted the first game of Maru when he was playing against Moro, and everyone just told me, okay, Maru is really good, but he's playing so cheesy. And now he did not only win his Code A matches against Moro, but he just made a really nice appearance in the GSTL, was able to get into Code S, and now he just won his first match against GuMiho in a best of 3, advancing to the winner's match. This is just great to witness.
Showing macro play, innovative play as well in these games, just great timings, great map awareness. I have to say, in all 3 of these games, I think the thing he had the best was map awareness. He caught GuMiho off guard so many different times, and he knows his timings to move out. And that's actually something that happens when you have someone who's kind of a cheesier player or someone who likes to do 2-base timing attacks. As they advance into a macro player, they have so many different knowledges of timings. Even in the late game, they can get it. They can do one scan and see their opponent's army and go, I can go right now, and he won't defend this. So there's just like this really good knowledge of attacks. So for GG in StarCraft 1 and in StarCraft 2 is like this, where his macro is not what he's really known for, but when he plays a macro game, he knows these timings so well because he's practiced them over and over again. We're going to have a 5-minute break, guys. When we get back, we'll have our other two players, Curious and Hero, so don't go anywhere.
It's going to be an awesome match. We'll be back after a few minutes.
Here's my confession, 'cause I can't keep it in me, and you know I'm breathless as I come undone before you, loving every heartache, rebel in every twist and turn. I can feel your wisdom burning me like a second sun. Please forgive me, I can't lay down to waste mine. Going crazy, running out of. Why does it feel like it kills when you're leaving me? Am I still hanging on to the end of yesterday?
Reaper. 发行 Reaper. 发行